You can feel in the air the whispers, the tweets, the sideline cameras that linger just a little longer when she walks by and sweats. Caitlin Clark, the name, the presence, the lightning rod is warming up again, and the WNBA is shaking and its sneakers. After weeks on the sidelines nursing a groin injury that silenced the arena and shifted the entire vibe, or the Indiana Fever, Caitlin Clark is almost back, and everybody knows what that means. If you're here for the real story and not to filter version, subscribe, and if you're sticking around for the next meltdown, you better definitely subscribe. Fans are ecstatic, teams are nervous, and league itself is in full-blown DEFCON mode. This isn't just the player returning from injury. This is a full-scale energy shift, because when Caitlin Clark is on the floor, the guy moved differently, and now after nearly 2 months of rehab, regulation, cryptic interviews, and viral practice clips, her comeback is officially on the table. Let's get into the drama, because oh yes, there is drama. When Clark went down with a groin strain early July, it felt like the league itself dimmed by 30%. The Fever won from must-watch TV, the background noise, the flow disappeared, the spacing collapsed, attendance took a hit, and the highlight reels, well, they got a lot less viral without her. Indiana just and look like Indiana. Sure, they've got talent. Aaliyah Boston is a beast in the paint. Kelsey Mitchell can light it up. But let's be real without Clark. Orchestra in the chaos that often have been stiff, flat, and overwhelmed by the league's more organized squads. The team desperately missed her gravity, both literal and metaphorical. When Caitlin on a court, defenders stretch, passing lanes open, role players look better, show looters find rhythm, and fans, they believe she doesn't just play the game, she tilts it. So yeah, the rumors of a return hit like a shot of adrenaline. One league practice video of her nailing back-to-back logo threes, it got more views and entire game recaps. Fans are already flooded comment sections with, is she playing this weekend? Is this the return game? Please don't rush her, but please rush her. It's chaos, and behind the scenes the pressure is unreal. Let's start with the Fever. This team is still technically in the playoff hunt, but barely. They've been fine, stay alive without their centerpiece, and now they're staring down the barrel. Is so season that could either ignite or implode based on this one decision. Do they push your back on the court and gambled or long-term health, or do they play it safe, keep her sideline and risk taking their playoff dreams and the ratings boost she brings with her? It's a lose-lose or win-win depending on how you spin it, and you already know. Okay, Helen Clark is one. Sit still. She's a competitor to her core, the kind of player who would play through a hurricane if it meant snagging a fourth-quarter assist. She's not wired to sit back and let things play out, and according people close to the team, she's been begging to get back on floor. The Fever's coaching staff is walking a tightrope because yes, they want to win. Yes, they need to spark, but groin injuries, they're no joke. They linger, they come back, and if you rush it, you don't just lose the rest of the season. You risk compromising the next one. To still, you can feel the momentum shifting, because Clark hasn't just been practicing, she's been killing it in scrimmages, pull-up threes, threaded passes, filthy crossovers, that vintage sissy vision and swagger. It's all coming back, and the rest of the lead, it is sweating, especially the teams, and that bubbles own, the ones fighting for the last few playoff spots. Los Angeles, Golden State, Washington, they've been cruising in Clark's absence, but now they see her named creeping back into game day reports, and they're suddenly wondering if those comfy wild card slot are about to vanish, because Caitlin Clark back at 80% is still better than most players at 100%, and once you start cooking, game over. There's also a little thing nobody's really say out loud, but you know it's real. The lead needs her. They can't afford to have their biggest draw sitting for too long. Jerseys sold out, ticket demand still sky high, national TV deals build around her, and let's be honest, this year's media narrative, it's been the Caitlin Clark show from a jump, where the fans love or hate her or just show up to see what you do next. They show up no other players commanding this kind of attention. So when she's not playing, the entire league lose momentum. And you better believe the WNBA league office is watching every rehab update like as the stock market, because the second she returns, ticket sales, bike ratings climb calm, and sections catch fire. But here's the twist: while fans and media are hyped for her return, a few players are not. Let's just say not everyone's been sending flowers during her recovery. You know the names, some subtle, some not so subtle: Angel Reese, Io Wilson, Modes. Well, vets who made it crystal clear they aren't rolling out the red carpet for Caitlyn comeback. They critique the media bias, question her rookie hype, talked about earning respect, and now they're staring down the very real possibility that Clark should turn, could flip the standings. You know that means the receipts will be checked if Clark comes back and drops 25-10-7 in her first week back. The internet will be unbearable, especially for critics, if Indiana suddenly surges into a playoff spot while knocking out a team that's been chirping from the sidelines. The drama right itself, but it also raises a real question: should you come back at all? Because as much as we want to see her in action, there's a very real debate to be had. She's still early in her career. The Fever are not a title contender right now. So is it worth it to risk long-term health for a short-term playoff run? Or should she sit here and come back next season even stronger? Here's where things get complicated, because if this were any other rookie, you'd sit them, but Caitlyn Clark isn't. As a rookie, she's a business. Her brand doesn't rest. Her presence is bigger than basketball, and she knows it. That competitive fire doesn't turn off just because there's a rehab plan. She's watching her team struggle. She's watched her name dominate headlines, and she's itching to silence every doubter we use or absence to shift the spotlight. So yeah, barring something catastrophic, she's coming back soon. And when she does, everything changes. The Fever become dangerous again. The playoff race becomes unpredictable. Every arena she steps into becomes the national spectacle, and every rival who rolled their eyes when she was down will have to read her in real time. So get ready, because the comeback is coming. And when Caitlyn Clark re-enters the arena, she's not just back on the floor, she's back in control. The league's most polarizing watched in the beta figure is blazing up again, and whether you're cheering her on or praying she breaks every shot, you be watching. So should you play or sit it out and protect the long game? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe, because his comeback, it might just flip the whole league on its head. Absolutely. Let's go deeper, because Caitlyn Clark return isn't just a comeback, it's a reckoning. And the league, it's about to feel the aftershocks. Picture it: the lights in Game Bridge Fieldhouse dim just slightly before the anthem. The camera pans, the crowd buzzing, not with polite applause, but that kind of breath holding here on the back of your neck, electricity. And then jogs the tunnel. So CC number 22, the Fever's heartbeat, is the kind of moment that makes sports magic, and it doesn't just stir Indiana fans, it rattles every franchise in the league, because even if you convince yourself a Fever were toes without her, you know when Caitlyn Clark step back 3-1, no look assist, one mega moment and flip, and suddenly your 6-point lead does. Your rotations are off, and you're wondering why your coach looks pale. That's what Clark brings: disruption, and she's about to bring a lot of it. Let's talk logistics. Right now, the Fever are clinging to life. They're somewhere between statistically possible and functionally delusional when it comes to the playoff race. Without Clark, they relied on patches, a few decent bench showings, glimmers of chemistry, grit, but it's been rough. There's no offensive identity, because Caitlyn is the offensive my daddy. Without her, this team is look at a car engine with no spark plugs. Boston's dominant, sure, but without Clark, feed her on the roll. She's forced a muscle through double teams. The spacing is gone, the floor shrinks, and everyone feels it. So you bring Clark back into Mix suddenly Mitchell gets cleaner, looks the corners, open up Boston, can roll freely. The orphans flows. This isn't theoretical. We've seen it. Even at 60%, Clark changes a geometry. The court now think about her returning with revenge in her veins. This injury didn't. The sideline her physically, its sideline narrative for the first time in months. People stopped talking about her other storylines, crept in rivalry, shifted headlines fill with other names, and you already know that's been eating at her, because Caitlin Clark, she doesn't vanish, she reclaims, so we think happens when she gets a chance again. She's not coming back to ease, and to the flow, she's coming back to remind you why she had the highest selling jersey before she ever played a pro game, why her name trends even when she's not playing, why every single broadcast include a Move Caitlin Clark return segment. Because make no mistake, this comeback, as personal, it's person. For it's person for Fever, and yet it's very personal for the WNBA. Because his entire season it was built around her, from ticket pricing, the broadcast deals, clock, a physician as a league's rising tide. She was a storyline, the reason he has been coverage, the real. In casual start watching, so when she went down the narrative panicked suddenly. We saw desperate pivots. Look at this other rookie Angels carrying the culture. Let's highlight the vet again. But you felt the void because Wild Town is everywhere. Clark brings something rare, main character energy, and now the main character's coming back in Act 3, and a plot just got spicy. Because guess what? Not everyone wants her to succeed. They're players, vocal ones, who like the fact that things are quite without her, who views the opportunity to question her toughness, her credentials, her worthiness. So what happens when she walked back in and drops 27-9-6 on a playoff-hungry team that's been talking slick since June? Oh, it's coming, and when it does, the receipts will fly. We're going to see 10 engine passive-aggressive interviews, maybe a few welcome back hard fouls, semi-rules, but also we'll see the truth about game, about her leadership, about how one player can reshape an entire sports media ecosystem. Let's zoom out. Her comeback isn't just about India, Anna, or the scoreboard. It's about the business of women's basketball. The WNBA is watching closely, so is Nike, so is every sponsor who slapped her face on their product, and they're all thinking the same thing: can she still carry the hype? And the answer, yeah. But this time, it's dear front, because now she's been humbled, she's been benched, she's watching the sidelines as other players try to snatch the spotlight, she's listened to critics car overhyped, she's read think pieces, and now she's got ammo. This next version of Caitlin Clark, more mature, more focused, still deadly, but more dangerous, because now she knows what it feels like to be muted, to have the spotlight deemed, to be sidelined from the narrative she built. And when you give a player like that another shot, they don't just come back, they explode. So here's what we're predicting: her first game back, absolute media circus, might up national broadcast fans holding "we miss you" signs. Her stat line, it won't be perfect, but it will be loud. At least one no-look dime that makes Sports Center, at least 1 3 from the parking lot. Her energy locked in, less chirping, more domination. The smiling assassin version, cold, clinical, respected. Her impact, playoff picture, scrambled, power rankings, shifted, league morale shaken. Because whether you love her or hate her, you know she's inevitable. And when that kind of inevitability gets healthy again, you don't just brace for a comeback, you brave for a storm. So you get your popcorn, because Caitlin Clark's about to remind everyone that does lead runs through her now. And if you weren't ready for the first time, you better get ready now, because Caitlin Clark's comeback, yeah, it's about redemption, it's about power, about basketball. But if we're being really honest, it's about ownership, not just of her game, not just the court, but of her story, because for the past few months, everyone else has been writing it for the critics. Said she was overrated. The veterans said she had earned it. The pundits that she was too fragile, too polarizing to protect it. And yet here she comes again, strapped up, lays down, locked in, not with a blinding rookie Haida followed her into the league, but what a new kind of fire, the kind that only comes from being quieted, from watching your team falter, from having to sit and listen while people decide who they think you are. You think she's not coming back with something to prove, because what people forget is this Caitlin Clark lives in the pressure. She was built and it's sculpted by it. Her entire career has been one guy. Giant spotlight, so proving ground. Iowa, every arena was packed for her. The Final Four, all eyes on her. WNBA draft, biggest moment in years, centered on her. She didn't ask for crown, but she sure as hell didn't drop it either. And now, after weeks of sitting courtside and tailored, sweating, game-ready braids, she's about a reality arena, not just as a rookie, but as a symbol, because like it or not, Caitlin Clark represents the future of this league. And that's what makes a return so dangerous, is not just the threes, is not just the assists, is not even the wins. If the mama phantom and that momentum, it terrifies people, because deep down, everyone, players, fans, execs, they know what about to happen. She's in comeback, turn a fever into a functioning off and again, and probably still a few playoff wins from teams that were banking on or staying sidelined. She's will fill arena, as again drown out every other storyline, and make the WNBA a trend. Every time she touches the ball, she's gonna remind the world that yes, she was worth the hype, that it wasn't just marketing, that it wasn't just a lucky run, that it was always real. And that is what makes his comeback bigger than basketball. Because what happens when a face of league gets knocked down and then stands right back up? She doesn't just reclaim the spotlight, she owns it. Look at the timing. Her return isn't coming in some quiet stretch of the season. It's coming right before the playoff push, when teams are desperate, when standings are fragile, when every game feels like March Madness, which means she's walking into maximum chaos. And you know what Caitlin Clark doesn't? Chaos. She thrives. This is a player who used drop logo threes with two defenders in her face, who baited trash talkers into silence, who had literally wink after he getting a dagger. She doesn't just absorb pressure, she converted into daggers, and he checks. And now she's coming back, or team on the ropes, the league nervous, and her doubters louder than ever yet. She's cooking something. Don't be surprised when her combat game feels like a playoff match. Don't be surprised when, as every media outlet has a countdown clock, don't be surprised when the first three she hits send the internet into orbit, because this is more than a medical clearance. This is a statement that you can erase her, that you can't write her off, that you can't shift the narrative just because she had a setback. And you better believe she knows exactly who was talking. All those settled digs, the overhyped rookie jabs, the veteran shade, the smirks after the fever lost. Without her, she's got every single one of those moments stored. And when she steps back onto that court, she's going to let her game do the talking. This isn't about revenge, this is about reassertion. It's Caitlin saying, I'm still her, you didn't bury me, he just gave me time to reload. And oh, did you reload? Let's be honest, the time off might have been the best thing that could have happened long term. She got to watch, she got to study, she got to breathe. No cameras in her face 24/7, no doubleheader travel days, no elbows from 30-year-old veterans trying to welcome her to the ledge. She had time to sharpen. So now the handles are tighter, the reads are faster, the shot release even quicker. She's a comeback now as the same player who lived off in July, but as someone who knows how to move differently, more strategic, less reckless, still electric. So what happens when she re-entered the playoff race with fresh legs, a clear mind, and a point to prove? A storm of full-on media blitz and narrative take over, a ripple effect. I could shake the standings, the ratings, and maybe even the trophy race. And the best part, everyone will pretend they saw it coming. But let's be real, they didn't. They thought the injury was a wrap. They thought the league would shift. They thought maybe the Clark era was over before it started. But now they're realizing something terrifying is just beginning. So the comeback's coming. And when it does, it's not just Indiana that needs Brace itself, it's every single team who thought the Fever would stay quiet. It's every single player who used or absence to claim the spotlight. It's every single critic who underestimated what she meant to this league, because she's coming back of the ball on her hands, a chip on her shoulder and the receipts in her pocket.